Hello there guys, and welcome to our next class for the third unit. Teacher Krishna here, and just like you know, this is a class that is part of BYS School and 8th BYS. Today we are working on the subject science and week number 25. So be welcomed, and let's go over our presentation today. So remember to have your notebook with you in order to make today's experiment. That's very important. Today you're not going to make a summary, but you have to actually make an experiment by yourselves, okay? So when you make your scientific report, what parts do you need to include? Just refreshing your mind a little bit about the scientific method. And remember that we have worked on this before. So you need to go over the observation, hypotheses, experimentation, analysis, and conclusions. So something that I have seen is that when students make an observation, they tell me, teacher, in the video I watched that this happened. Or teacher, in the tutorial for making the experiment, I noticed this. Well, remember that the observation is about a natural phenomenon. So in this case, I don't want you to write my observation is that I watched in the video, blah, 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 okay? But I want you to write something about the real world. So what have you seen outside that, of course, can relate to your experiment? What natural phenomena have you been aware of, okay? And then, of course, you write your hypothesis, you go over the experimentation, analysis, and the conclusions. Okay. So let's continue. The end in mind for today is something very simple. Students will be able to follow the steps of the scientific method to conduct an experiment related to previous topics. Okay. Now, this is the summary of activities that you need to complete today. So number one, watch the tutorial video, and you will find it in the description to conduct your experiment. So something very important is that I was conducting another experiment with some other students before, and they tell me, teacher, but I don't have the materials that are shown in the video. So if you don't have the materials that are not shown in the video, don't worry. So I want you to be creative. So I want you to look for similar materials that can actually represent the scientific experiment that we're trying to do. So be creative. Not necessarily you have to make your model exactly as it is shown in the video. It can be different. But of course, the most important thing is that you can actually prove your hypothesis through an experiment, okay? So use your imagination, be creative, and of course, definitely use what you have at home. I don't want you to go out and buy materials. That's not necessary. Use what you have at home. Number two, write down a scientific report per experiment. So you're only going to conduct one experiment today. And what are the parts that you need to include in your experiment? Well, they are the previous one that I shared with you. Observation, hypothesis, experimentation, analysis, and conclusions, okay? And number three, share your models and analysis during the Zoom session. That's very important, guys. So you have this first hour to finish already. With your model and your report, of course. So make sure that you finish it, because I'm going to ask you to share them with your classmates later on. So very important, make sure to have your experiment with you during the live session, so you can use it as some supporting material to explain your classmates about the process that you were going through. And that'll be about it for today. Okay, so work on your experiment during the following hour that you have right now, and I wish you the best of luck. And probably it might look like something very simple today, but actually what you are going to be doing is science. And if you can prove your hypothesis through an experiment, that makes you a scientist already, which is something amazing. And even if you cannot actually prove your hypothesis, if you have followed all of the steps of the scientific method appropriately, then you will still be a scientist. So I wish you the best of luck in today's experiment. If you have any sort of question, you can always let me know on WhatsApp. I will be more than glad to help you out in there. So goodbye, guys, and always take care. See you around.